Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's our Wednesday night class, reading through the Tanak of the 7th of February, 2024. We're going to pick up what we was reading last week out of the book of Jeremiah. We'll read some chapters and we'll break them down as we go. Okay? You can go to our YouTube channel, to Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 800 and something videos that you can investigate, listen to, and get some foundation and some information out of them. Okay, so with that being said, this is a non-Messianic channel, and we deal with the Tanak and the Torah. Tanak being the Old Testament, and the Torah being the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of hosts. Okay, we don't subscribe to the New Testament, the God in the New Testament, the apostles, Paul. Don't subscribe to it. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our reading through tonight. We're going to do our moment of silence, a prayer, we'll read the Psalms, do some current events, and a little need to know information, and we'll open it up for some Q&A, comments, dialogue, and then we'll go into our reading out of the book of Jeremiah. Okay? This moment of silence for the Lord of hosts, and all he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay? Oh Lord, we come this day, bow down, honoring you and praising you and believing in you. We thank you for your wisdom and knowledge that you have poured out upon us. And through your prophets, you reveal times that we as Jacob's children would endure. Keep us, O Lord, and guide us and deliver us. We see you now within the Holy Scriptures, O Lord, and we trust you with all our heart and with all our soul. Keep not that silence, but shine forth on our enemies with thy great power and glory, and deliver us. It's beyond you. Okay. Read the Psalm. Okay. I'm going to read Psalm 60. It's a prayer for help against the foe. O God, thou hast cast us out. Thou hast scattered us. Thou hast been displeased. O turn thyself to us again. Thou hast made the earth to tremble. Thou hast broken it. Heal the breaches thereof, for it is shaken. Thou hast showed thy people hard things. Thou hast made us to drink of the wine of astonishment. Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee, that it may be displayed because of the truth. Selah, they that bow, that thy beloved may be delivered. Save with thy right hand, and hear me. God hath spoken in his holiness. I will rejoice. I will divide Shechem, and I will mete out to the valley of Sukkah. Gilead is mine, Manasseh is mine. Ephraim also is the strength of my head. Judah is my lawgiver. Moab is my washpot. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Philistine triumph thou because of me. Who will bring me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Wilt not thou, O God, which have cast us off, and thou, O God, which did not go out with our armies, give us help in trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through God we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. Okay, so that was Psalm 60, a prayer for help against our foes. And we see in verses 10 and 11 and 12 that it says, saying who our God is, and our Redeemer. It says, "Will thou not, O God, which has cast us off, and thou, O God, which did not go out with our armies." Okay, and it said, "Give us help from our trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through God, through the Lord of hosts, we shall do valiantly, for it is He that it is that shall tread down our enemies." So when you understand that, a lot of people uh, is in the dark on the fact that when they went into the land of Canaan, all the Amorites, the giant that was there, it was it was the Lord of hosts and these other angels that was with him that was treading them down and before the Israelites. And you have to understand who the God of Israel is. Okay, so with that being said, we go to some current events. Okay.
Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. In ancient Egypt, black was considered a divine color, often associated with gods and deities. Some might wonder why this was the case, thinking it could be because many ancient Egyptians had dark skin, thus imagining their gods in their likeness. However, it's important to note that not all Egyptians had the same skin tone. In Egypt, there were a variety of skin colors, ranging from very dark to light-skinned, and even albino individuals. This diversity is similar to what can be seen across different African countries. The specific association of the color black with divinity, however, is more deeply connected to the sun and its significance in Egyptian culture, rather than just the skin color of the people. In many African cultures, as highlighted in discussions about African religion, God is seen as an unseen consciousness that created the world with a powerful initial energy. The sun, as the primary source of energy and life, can be thought of as a representation of God on earth, a kind of divine messenger. Where am I going with this? We will get to the answer shortly. This perspective is reflected in various African cultures. For instance, Pharaoh Akhenaten of ancient Egypt made offerings to the sun, seen as God's messenger, bringing life with its rays. The reverence for the sun extends beyond Egypt. The Hausa refer to God as Rana, while the Fulani worship the sun under the name of Budal Yurmende, viewed as a great solar disk of mercy. In Cameroon, the Bassa people invoke God through the sun, known as Job. The Bakongo refer to God as Nembumbaloa, the great solar creator. This artwork, currently housed at the New Orleans Museum of Art, represents a significant cultural artifact from the ancient Ashanti Empire, which is located in what is now modern-day Ghana. The piece embodies the profound reverence for the sun that was prevalent in many African civilizations, including the Ashanti. In these cultures, the sun was often seen as a divine messenger, a tangible representation of God's energy and presence in the world. These diverse practices and beliefs across Africa highlight the sun's central role as a symbol of divine energy and a messenger of God. Science tells us that Black people have their skin color because of melanin, a pigment that helps adapt to the African sun. This concept of black skin as a mark of the sun has been known since ancient times. In ancient Egyptian language, words like kam or kem, charcoal or black, and kemet or kamit or kama, the Black country referring to Egypt, reflect this understanding. This idea is also present in modern African languages, where words like kim, kembu, hume, and kama mean coal, burnt, or black. This African term kam evolved into cham or ham in Hebrew and the Bible, symbolizing Black people. Pharaoh Akhenaten, in his hymn to Aten, the sun, expressed this idea beautifully. He saw the sun's rays as a divine mark on humanity, equating black skin with this celestial influence. Even the Greek historian Herodotus, during his visit to Egypt, noted that the heat makes men black, indicating an early recognition of this relationship between skin color and sun exposure. In ancient animist thought, the darker one's skin, the closer they were considered to the sun, and thus more divine and blessed. This is why gods and deities were often depicted in the darkest black color, symbolizing their divine nature. This view highlights the deep cultural and spiritual significance of skin color in ancient civilizations, particularly in relation to the sun and divinity. In ancient Egyptian mythology, Osiris, often revered as a son of God, is a symbol of goodness and moral integrity. Known for his just and benevolent rule, Osiris holds a significant place in Egyptian lore. Additionally, he was referred to as Kem-Aur, which translates to the Great Black. This title not only reflects his importance and stature, but also connects him to the theme of blackness as a symbol of divinity and virtue in ancient Egyptian culture. In this illustration, Queen Amis Nefertari, known for her distinctly dark skin from birth. This natural trait was seen as a divine sign, marking her as a special figure. She stands as the matriarch and co-founder of the highly esteemed 18th dynasty, earning a reputation as one of the most revered queens in ancient history, her great-great-grandson, Pharaoh Tutankhamun. In this depiction, he is shown with dark skin, portrayal reserved for after his death. This change in his representation is a symbol of his transformation into a divine ancestor, serving as a bridge between God and humans. This practice highlights the ancient belief in the sanctity and divine nature of blackness, especially in the context of royalty, the afterlife. Around 2,600 years ago, the Egyptians introduced the worship of the Virgin Mother, Aissata Mariamen, known in other traditions as Isis, to West Asia and Europe. This figure, often depicted in black, symbolized a divine mother and was revered alongside her son. This form of worship, focusing on a black Madonna and her child, became a significant religious practice in Europe for many centuries. According to some interpretations, the Romans later adopted and transformed this cult into what would eventually become Christianity in the 4th century. Aissata Mariamen, or Isis, was revered as a beloved figure of the god Amen. She was also known as Setkem, meaning the black woman. She is often depicted holding her son Horus, believed to be born of an immaculate conception and seen as a divine savior. This narrative suggests that the figure of Mari, or Mary in Christian tradition, may have evolved from earlier Egyptian worship practices, influenced by Roman interpretations. Statues of Isis in Europe, characterized by their dark color, are seen as remnants of this once dominant cult, preceding the rise of Christianity. We have covered this topic regarding the Black Madonna in a recent video. For many ancient cultures, the color black was seen as a blessed and revered hue, rather than a cursed one. This perspective is particularly significant when considering the historical and cultural context of dark-skinned Africans. It's important.
Okay. Any comments on that? No comments? Okay, yeah. So, I mean, this is crazy. You know what I mean? Because we see that, you know, it's called dark matter. That blackness is said that the blacker you are, when the Europeans finally had a chance to come into Africa, they saw the significance of the blackness and how that it was worshipped, and that it was the blacker you were, the closer you were to God. So you got to ask yourself, I mean, which is crazy. How did we get to the JC that's on the wall? That's in every neighborhood, in every household, in the black neighborhood. If this the case right here, how did we get to the very opposite of the totem pole, where we got a white man on the wall? It's crazy. I mean, just that in itself, it smashed Christianity right there. How we get there when we see what was in the existence in the beginning, and we got the evidence from the Black Madonna and Child. It's still worshiping over in the Vatican. The blue black woman with the baby. So how did we get to as black folks to where we at today, worshiping JC? It's crazy. Okay. No comments on that?
In ancient times, there were significant connections between different civilizations and cultures. For example, the Greeks established the famous Library of Alexandria, where they gathered knowledge from various sources, including the African continent. This library contained important texts, such as the Medunata, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, the Bible, the Torah, and other Jewish books. It's important to note that these texts were written many centuries after the events they describe, including the Exodus. The persecution of the Hebrews, according to this perspective, took place in Canaan rather than Egypt. During the time of Tanak, an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, he went to Israel and saved the black Jews from the Persians who intended to exterminate them. The Cushite army, led by Tanak, defeated the Persians and protected the Hebrews' existence. As history progressed, the Greeks were eventually replaced by the Romans, who absorbed and adopted aspects of Greek culture. The Romans also overtook and suppressed African Hebrew populations, seizing their wealth. They closed ancient temples in places like Yemen and made the use of Medunesha, ancient Egyptian script, illegal. Some of the former Egyptian temples were converted into Christian churches by the Romans, who occupied them rather than building new structures. By the time of the Nicene Conference in 319 AD, the Romans had amassed significant power and eliminated opposition. They transitioned from persecuting Christians to adopting Christianity as a means of furthering their economic and political control. The Vatican and the Pope became central figures in this new religious structure, even sanctioning slavery and granting permission for Europeans to capture Africans for enslavement. The Greeks and Romans regarded certain European tribes, such as the Picts, Germanic tribes, Anglos and Saxons, as culturally and technologically backward. These tribes were not considered suitable for slavery by the Greeks and Romans due to their perceived lack of value as laborers. The Greeks and Romans viewed them as less advanced, compared to civilizations like the Hebrews and ancient Egyptians. These were various pagan groups in Europe who did not adhere to Christianity or any other major organized religion. The term pagan typically referred to those who held beliefs outside of the dominant religious systems. These pagan groups were not considered part of the Hebrew or Roman religious traditions, and they often practiced their own indigenous faiths or worshipped multiple gods and goddesses. Some pagan groups in regions like Russia, particularly the Khazars, converted to Judaism during the Holy Wars. These conversions were motivated by economic and political factors, rather than a deep religious connection. The Khazars saw an advantage in aligning themselves with Judaism, as it allowed them to engage in trade with both Christian and Muslim societies. It's worth noting that Europeans learned about Greek philosophers from the Moors during the period when the Moors ruled Spain. The Moors set up universities and colleges where Europeans had the opportunity to study and gain knowledge about ancient Greek philosophy. During the period between 1000 and 300 AD, significant changes were occurring. A new concept of God was being created, and old traditions and groups were being destroyed. The Romans embraced Judaism and became converts, while the Canaanites, including a significant black population, were exterminated. The term Middle East was strategically coined during World War I and II to separate Egypt from its African identity and place it in a specific geopolitical region. Understanding these historical connections and transitions helps shed light on the complex interactions between different civilizations and cultures throughout history.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay, what I'm gonna do is play this need to know information. It's kind of bouncing off of what I was dealing with yesterday and what I was dealing with on Sunday. I'm gonna let it play and then I'll interject.
Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. For centuries, there has been a concerted effort to diminish the role that Black people have played in shaping the world. This includes civilizations in Africa, Asia, Europe, and America, where the achievements of Black people have been either whitewashed or ignored. We aim to dismantle the mindset of white supremacy in the African consciousness, using peaceful and intellectually honest methods. We aspire to be the last generation of Black people who endure extreme humiliation and destruction due to the erasure of our history. Why does the West still misrepresent African history? There are several reasons. The original tendencies of violence and dominance from the West haven't entirely disappeared. While Western societies may have become more lenient towards their own citizens, there's still a subtler form of this violence directed at Africans. There's a desire to maintain the ideology of the Renaissance and white supremacy, which positioned the West as a global power. Admitting the truth is challenging because the lies about African history have been deeply ingrained and widespread. Acknowledging these falsehoods would mean the West accepting responsibility for a historical wrongdoing on a massive scale. Many Westerners find it hard to accept that modern Western civilization, despite its positive aspects, is built on significant falsehoods and has racist foundations. There's a fear among some groups that admitting the truth about the past mistreatment of Africans, including ongoing cultural erasure, might lead to retribution. For example, despite scientific evidence, the Black origins of the builders of civilizations in places like Morocco, Carthage, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley are often overlooked. In Europe, the contributions of the Minoan, Etruscan, and Moorish civilizations, and even Stonehenge, are not widely acknowledged as having Black roots. In the Americas, the Olmec civilization's Black origins are similarly disregarded. In Africa, the civilization of Zimbabwe was not attributed to Africans until after the end of apartheid in the 1980s. Even today, many still believe that the indigenous Swahili and Somali civilizations were the creations of Arabs, not Africans. The Egyptian civilization has been recognized as the greatest in history for its advanced knowledge and technical achievements. Despite a UNESCO conference in 1974 acknowledging its African roots, Egypt is still often portrayed as having a predominantly white heritage.
If you are within 20 years of retirement, or if you're already retired, all of your hard...
This misrepresentation has led to a significant question. How did the people who were central to the development of these civilizations come to be seen as the very opposite of civilization? This video aims to trace the motivations behind this historical distortion and detail the process used in this misrepresentation. So when did the historical inaccuracies regarding the racial identity of the ancient Egyptians begin? Initially, the ancient Egyptians were commonly recognized as Black people. This perception was evident in Roman mosaics dating from the 1st to 6th centuries CE, and also in Byzantine art, such as the 11th century depiction of Sarah, Abraham, and the Pharaoh. Many European and Arab writers from these periods acknowledged the ancient Egyptians as Black. However, this accurate representation started to change during the High Middle Ages. This suggests that the shift in the portrayal of the ancient Egyptians' racial identity did not occur until many centuries later. Up until the Middle Ages, it was widely recognized that the ancient Egyptians were Black. This view was supported by numerous European and Arab writers of that era. However, the distortion of this historical truth began much later. To fully understand this change, it's important to first examine a specific aspect of Western perspective that emerged around this time. It is important to recognize the historically violent nature of European, Western culture, comparing it to other regions of the world. It's noted that Europe has been a particularly conflict-ridden area, starting from ancient times with the Roman Empire, through the Middle Ages with events like the 100 Years' War and the Crusades, and into the modern era with the World Wars. This map, showing global conflicts over 4,500 years, places Europe at the forefront in terms of violence. It has been suggested that Europe's hostile climate and limited natural resources might have driven its people to conquer and destroy others' lands and resources for survival, fostering a culture focused on domination. In contrast, the civilizations in the southern regions, which, despite having their own conflicts, are said to have developed more humanist cultures. Indeed, the African ideal of Ma'at, a concept of peace and humanism, is also credited with influencing peaceful ideologies in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. We have covered this in a recent video. Europe's violent past initially targeted Europeans themselves and was not initially driven by racial hatred. For example, Rome's destruction of Carthage and suppression of the African cult of Isis were seen as strategic, rather than racially motivated. Anti-Black racism and historical falsification arose much later, particularly during the period of Western enslavement of Africans. As Europeans expanded their empires, they exerted extreme violence in the Americas and Africa. For example, over a period of 160 years, the Portuguese Empire used cannons to destroy around 15 African kingdoms and empires that resisted their slave trade. By the end of the 17th century, much of the resistance in Africa had been subdued. Several African states began to participate in the slave trade, selling their war captives in exchange for firearms. This led to a significant increase in the number of Africans being sent to America for enslavement, replacing the European workers who were also suffering under harsh conditions. This period marked a change in perception, where being Black became synonymous with being a slave. To maintain and justify this lucrative trade, which had enriched Europe after the Middle Ages, Western societies began to dehumanize Black people. This marked the solidification of the equation, Black is equal to slave, in Western consciousness. Before we proceed, I would like to lay down a simple, unquestionable truth. In the words of Henrik Clark, there are no races. A people are identified by land, history, and culture. In what might appear to be contradictory, we subscribe to using racial designations on this channel for a reason. While you personally may not believe in the idea of race as a valid or scientific category, it's important to recognize that society often operates within this framework, and it has tangible effects on people's lives. As a Black individual, you're positioned uniquely to confront and engage with the issue of race, even if you see it as a flawed construct. This means addressing racial topics through the same societal lens that originally established and perpetuated these concepts, albeit erroneously. It's about understanding how historical and social constructs of race have shaped experiences, perceptions, and opportunities for people, particularly those identified as Black. Now, let's continue. The concept of white supremacy, as mentioned in Robert P. Baird's article, The Invention of Whiteness, The Long History of a Dangerous Idea, has deep historical roots. In the late 17th century, Europeans began to identify themselves as white to differentiate themselves from Africans, whom they intended to enslave. This marked the beginning of a harmful dichotomy, portraying whites as superior, intelligent, and civilized, in contrast to Africans, who were unfairly depicted as inferior and savage. This perspective led to the dehumanization of African people, justifying their enslavement, as they were seen as lesser beings. Key thinkers during the European Renaissance and scientists in the 19th and 20th centuries worked hard to reinforce this false narrative of Black inferiority and establish a hierarchy with whites at the top. In the eras of slavery and colonization, there was a deliberate effort to erase any historical accounts that portrayed Africans as intelligent, powerful, or dominant. The idea of Africans having any advanced civilization was mocked, and the suggestion that they might have been more advanced than Europeans was considered outrageous. The claim that African civilization, particularly Egypt, played a foundational role in world history, including Europe's development, was seen as highly offensive. Martin Bernal, in his book Black Athena, discusses the moral dilemmas faced by Protestant societies that had to reconcile their actions of exterminating Native Americans and enslaving Africans with their core values of equality and individual freedom.
Okay, any comments on it? Okay, I think that spoke for itself. Like I said, that's how we got to where we at. They it's just the opposite. Creative said that they was like spittle. And they got up, they turned around, and the opportunity presented itself, and turned around and denigrated us, turned the history upside down. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some questions and comments. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything they came across or they hear it on this channel they want to talk about? Okay, play this and then we'll start reading.
What if you're
officials are now warning the American people that we are potentially in danger. And it's not every single person in the United States, only about 108.5 million people are in danger of what is coming. Now, the two biggest states that are going to feel the impact are California and New York. That is going to be the biggest crisis that we are going to face, is in those two states. But why are law enforcement officials coming out and warning the American people? Well, that's going to break down in today's video. Explain why this is turning into a massive crisis and why more states are now on the lookout for what is potentially coming. So, all I ask is, now let's begin. So before we jump into which states are lawmakers or law enforcement officials warning us on, I want to just first say this. There are many states that are going to feel this exact same impact, but there's going to be a slight twist. I'll explain that in just a moment, but let me show you the map. This right here is a map of states based off of their laws on immigration enforcement. The states in green, there's Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado, Illinois, you have Vermont, you got Connecticut, you got New Jersey, and also Maryland. However, New York right here, which is a slight shade of green, this is also there as well. Now, these are pro-immigrant law states. Now, what experts are telling us is that these are the states that we should be concerned with, because these are the states that are going to pretty much let migrants run rampant. And I'll explain why in just a second. But you need to understand that even though these are the states to be concerned with, and these are the states that law enforcement officials are saying that this is where the danger zone is, just understand every other state is in that danger zone as well. Every state in the continental United States is in danger. Now, it all has to do with immigration. And it's not just illegal immigrants either. Asylum seekers who are technically migrants, okay? They're not illegals, they're here on asylum, asking for asylum. The concern, though, is it could take years before somebody that is asking for asylum is granted asylum. However, they can remain here in the United States. This is why there's currently a lot of debate and negotiations regarding the upcoming border security bill. But right now, the border security and Ukraine aid, this is collapsing, even though President Biden is pleading Congress to show some spine. President Biden has been asking Congress to pass a bill, give him power, so that he can then go and shut down the U.S. border. But Congress isn't doing that because of some of the provisions that are inside this bill. For instance, Texas would be stripped of its powers if this border security bill were to be passed. That's why many Republicans say that this is not a bill they are willing to support. But in the meantime, while we negotiate this bill, and the new report that just came out yesterday is stating that this border security bill, this does not have a chance of passing until after November. And that is only if the whole election breaks down the way many people are expecting. And that is, Republicans now have a president in the Oval Office, and maybe it's former President Donald Trump. We don't know yet, but that's the most likely outcome. They also have the power in the Senate and the power in the House. If those three things happen, then we could see a border security bill. However, it would not favor Democrats. It would be all Republican-based. Now, why? Why are we discussing this? Well, here's the problem. Right now, the issue, and this is what many law enforcement officers are saying, is that migrants that have little money and are faced with very few options, they are now going to be pretty much forced and brought into criminal organizations. Criminal organizations are now going to target migrants to try to bring them in to their organization. Just look at this, okay? I want to show you this video really quick. You've probably seen it, but this is just the start of what we are about to see. Just look at this. Now, obviously, there's no sound, but there's 5 or 6 migrants that are pretty much kicking police officers in New York City, down in Times Square. Okay, one of the busiest places in the United States. They are just kicking police officers as citizens are just walking past. Okay, that's a cause for concern. But I want to play you a couple clips, and this is talking about robberies in New York City. And the only reason why I'm showing you New York City, and it's only New York City in these clips, is because that is the city that is getting the most action. There's some action in Washington State. There's some stuff that's going on in California, right? We're seeing thefts, we're seeing assaults, right? All these things are happening. But I want to play you this clip as well. Again, it's going to be about a 10-second clip, but listen to this right here. And I want to know your thoughts. You can always put your thoughts down in the comment section below. Listen to this.
These thieves would wind up behind their victims on the sidewalk, steal their property, and then make their getaway. The majority of the victims are women, simply just walking alone.
So I don't want to show you the clip. It's very similar to the last one, somewhat, I guess I can show it to you. But this is what's happening. Let me play it for you, okay? So you can see right here, a woman's just being dragged because she's trying to hold on to her cell phone. People come up behind you. And again, these are migrants coming up behind you, trying to steal your phone or your personal property, okay? Now, what I can tell you, though, is that if you are one of the ones that are a phone snatcher, that according to law enforcement, you're getting paid between $300 to $600 per phone that you deliver, okay? I'm going to play you another clip here. Again, I think a lot of this stuff is troubling, but you need to understand what's going to happen to other cities and other states. This is exactly what the FBI and other law enforcement officials are saying, is that these here, okay, the ones in green, these are the ones that are going to be hit the hardest because they do have pro-immigrant laws. These are laws that protect the immigrants, okay? So keep that in mind. We are going to see more of this in the near future. Listen to this, though.
There are a total of 62 incidents that have been connected to this pattern so far, touching every borough in New York City except Staten Island.
So right there, it's almost every single borough in New York City is being hit by this. Guess what? These are people that are running up behind you on scooters that they rent or steal, okay, on motorcycles. What other states do we know? What other cities, for example, do we know that use some of these bird scooters, right? Some of these rent by the hour scooters. New York City's one, Chicago's another, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, okay, Denver, just to name a few, okay, just to name a few. Think about that for a second. I want to play you another clip, though, because this is the concern. This is why the FBI is highly concerned with immigrants coming into the United States. Listen to this.
They're essentially ghost criminals. No criminal history, no photos, no cell phone, no social media.
They got nothing. So when we show these pictures, okay, we show pictures of these people, okay, so the problem is, where'd they come from? What are their names? Normally, if you put out a bulletin and say, this is the person we're looking for in New York City, you're going to get a handful of people, whether it's on Facebook or some other social media site, that know exactly who that person is, where they live, where they went to school, what sports they play or what sports their kids are into, what city they used to live in, where they work, right? Friends of friends of friends. They all know this stuff. But this is why the New York City police chief is concerned, because there's no photos, no social media, no work history. Okay? There's nothing. We have no clue who these people are. And that's why there's 108 million people in the United States that are currently in danger, because we have no clue who these people are, where they came from, where they're going, how they make money. That's the concern. So I just wanted to warn you guys on this, because again, even though there's some good things that do happen because of legal immigration, the problem is right now, the United States does not have the resources. And if we do not have the resources and people come into the United States with some false sense of hope and security. Well, guess what? Everybody's going to be very disappointed because the United States isn't giving away free jobs. It isn't giving away free food. It isn't giving away, free shelter and homes and TVs.
Okay, any comment? Anybody heard anything about that?
Shalom.
Shalom. Go ahead.
Okay.
It is very scary, but yet on the same token, there that particular city has so many already, like they said, people are seeking asylum. So who knows? Those are the ones who just got there, or what? And not only that, the ones that are attacking others and stealing and robbing, and they said they don't have um, a history on them. They know where they are. They're in those hotels. Have them take a picture. Have them get fingerprinted. Have them do all of those things. They're supplying them with housing. They're supplying them with food. And yes, the ones that's trying to get over here, it's already been placed in for years that they can't come. So again, it's a scary thought of how things are happening right now.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's not good. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Shalom. With all that being said, with what he had to say, with what they're doing, the crimes that they're committing, it's a little bit too late for a bill to be passed. You have
Oh yeah.
allowed thousands of migrants already in that crimes, just like Cheryl said, but you have them lining up to sign up for free health care and government assistance, but you're not photographing them, you're not taking fingerprints or any of that. So I was hearing that they were grabbing people's phones, not only on stolen mopeds. That's the first thing, they're stealing them, but they're
Right.
grabbing people's phones to hack them to get into their accounts.
Right.
So, I mean, it is already out of control when it comes to these
Exactly.
migrants, not only in New York, but California too. California is really getting out of hand. So, to me, it's a little bit late to be trying to pass a bill when you've already had people come over here the correct way with paying money, waiting, to receive citizenship, but you are allowing these people to come in for free and give them benefits on top of that. So that's a little bit too late.
Right, right. So it's all pointing toward a conspiracy that it's a plan you got going on because of, like I said, way back in 2020, even before that, you already saw this. You saw all this. So now all of a sudden, election year, now it's being broadcast all over the place how disastrous everything is. And all it's the very when Trump was in office, all this stuff was going on. So it's crazy. We got to hit
Shalom.
some kind of agenda.
I just want to say one last thing. Just like Michelle says, they want to do hacking. These immigrants are not, say, illiterate. They're not ignorant. They are smart. They have technology. They they may dress up like they're, you know, don't understand, but they do understand. And who's to know if, you know, by their language, they have planned how to move around. And if, like, a boule of someone could be telling them, okay, I want you to go do this, do that, bring me this, bring me that. And they're doing it for someone who's an American. We don't know. Like you said, it's something behind the scenes is going on because these people are going to risk going back over the border for what? No, they're doing it because they're telling them to do it, and they knowing that this is not going to happen to you. We know we can't do this to you, so you go do that, and then come back to us and whatever they're doing for them. I mean, why the blue? Why would they attack policemen when they know those policemen escorted them to their hotels or escorted them to food lines or whatever they had to do, policemen were helping them. So again, there's to research this researching of how these people are coming over, and just certain ones. What background are they? If they're from what part of these, you know, countries that they're coming in? They're not Mexicans, and so who are they?
I
Okay.
feel like they were already criminals. Where they were at when they got here, they
Right.
were already criminals.
Right. And they already know, but it's like they know something we don't know because, like I said, all of a sudden, you used to couldn't get two words out of them. Now all of a sudden, you kicking the police, gang banging on police, and like the one guy the other day, he standing out in front of one of the most expensive motels in New York talking shit. Where this come all this coming from? It's crazy, man. And they shooting us down in the streets.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you
Crazy.
look wrong, and you're behind you're down on the street choking because you just look wrong to them.
Right. And then you got all these clowns bum rushing the so-called taking back the border. So like I was saying, this guy, he's sitting there with pants sagging, no belt on, and all this talking shit in front of the motel in downtown New York. How he get there from the border? How he get all the way to New York? And then when he did get there, how you get there with the attitude that you got? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. It don't make no sense. It's crazy as hell. And it's not just him, it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands. You could even say, okay, well, this one dude from Mexico crossed over, got over here some kind of way, got to New York, but you got thousands upon thousands of people. How they getting there? You getting them free rides. And you instead of complaining like it's Biden's fault. It's all Biden's fault. It's everybody's fault. It's a plot. Okay.
Yes, the person who's driving. I'm sorry, Michelle. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, that's true. So the ones that they arrested for kicking the cops or whatever, right? They
Right.
release them and they catch a
Exactly.
bus and go off somewhere else. So here it is, you don't lost, track of them because you're saying you got more serious criminals that you need the room for. So
Right.
yeah, you're having them steal these mopeds, right? And
Right.
they're going around snatching people's cell phones. It's just one thing after another that they are doing. Not only that, they're raping people. I mean, it's a whole list of things
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
doing, but they're not
Yeah.
keeping any track of them. So watching a video, this is just an example of a black lady and her two daughters. One was 12 and one was 17. So it was reported a vehicle was stolen. Now her vehicle was a description. They coming out the store going to their vehicle. So instead of them running the plates and checking the vehicle and all that, they automatically have them stretched out on the ground and handcuffed her and her two daughters, 12 and 17. Like, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Exactly.
But when it comes to them, it's total opposite.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like I said, it's obvious there's an agenda going on. I mean, you got these two guys, one in Florida and the other one in Texas, talking about all the drama going on with the migrants. When you ship them where they at. You got busted. You got providing buses and ship. You create the problem. You sit there and get all for the last 2 years, 3 years. You've been shipping these people all over the country, all over America, and now all of a sudden you hollering about what Biden ain't doing and what he ain't doing this and he ain't doing that. When you ship them wherever they at, wherever all this drama going down there, you ship them there, pay for it. It's crazy.
Yes, sir. And not only that, The policemen are not allowed to tase them. They're not allowed to shoot them. They're not allowed to do any kind of aggressive
Right.
forces on those immigrants. They're supposed to talk them down to whatever is going on, whatever they're doing. Even if they caught the person with a cell phone, they're not supposed to do anything to them other than escort them into the vehicle without any kind of violence towards them. That's one
Mhm.
thing that they don't fear those policemen anymore because they know they cannot do those things to them.
Exactly. Yeah. But there's some.
So, Brother Leonard, I excuse me, one last thing, right? When the Haitians got to the border, right? They had them all gathered there with horses, keeping them in line till they shipped them back, right?
Right.
So we see that this is not happening at all to the borders of Mexico coming in through Texas and California and Arizona, right? They
Right.
have no type of organization whatsoever set up to monitor them. They are freely letting them in. They got lines to process them through and send them on through, right? So like you said, we have to know that this is a plot. It's clearly there. All the signs is there.
Right. Exactly.
You're still
Like I said,
smuggling
how
them
they
in
get there?
too.
How you
So
get all the way into the heart of America? Not just one, hundreds of thousands. How you get all the way into the heart of America? It's a plot. It's a flat out plot. You can see it.
yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Not the those big old trucks that they're saying they're bringing those 18 wheelers over to go to the border. Those 18 wheelers are coming across the border, probably housing those people inside of those
Yeah.
trucks, getting them in here, and then I mean, because not thousands are walking across that line. You could see that they're putting them in those trucks. They're bringing them over, letting some walk, but they're bringing so many over and then putting them at the bus stops or whatever. But they're still
Right.
taking them to that destination where they want to let them out at. Like
Exactly.
like someone going in a restaurant and letting go of those cockroaches or letting go rats in a restaurant. They know just which one to go to. You don't see them coming through the door, but then they're there because they're bringing them in, just dropping them. They're dropping those people every state that they, or the city and places that they know that they're gonna can cause chaos.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, they come in every way possible. I've seen videos where they loaded down on trains. Every possible way to come into the country, they coming in, and that's a blatant. That's government. Government is aiding that. It's crazy. So anyway, with that being said, we was last couple of weeks on Wednesday we're gonna read now the book of Jeremiah. I think we're on chapter 7, if I'm not mistaken. We'll read maybe 2 or 3 chapters out of Jeremiah tonight, and then we'll break the chapter down as we go. Okay, we're at chapter 7, right? Anybody remember?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, so somebody gonna start reading. I'll start reading.
Yes, sir, I can read Jeremiah chapter 7. Amend your ways. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, stand in the gate of the Lord's house and proclaim there this word, and say, hear the word of the Lord, all ye of Judah, that enter in at these gates to worship the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to dwell in this place. Trust ye not in lying words, saying, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord are these. For if ye thoroughly amend your ways, and your doings, if ye thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, if ye oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other gods to your hurt. Then will I cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Behold, ye trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will ye steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto Baal, and walk after other gods whom ye know not? Verse 10. And come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations. Is this house which is called by my name, because a den of robbers in your eyes? Behold, even I have seen it, said the Lord. But go ye now unto my place which was in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Israel. And now, because ye have done all these works, said the Lord, I spake unto you, rising up early and speaking, but ye heard not, and I called you, but ye answered not. Therefore will I do unto this house which is called by my name, wherein ye trust, and unto the place which I have gave to you and to your fathers, as I have done to Shiloh. 15. And I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Therefore pray not thou for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercessions to me, for I will not hear thee. Oh, wow. Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger, saith the Lord? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man, and upon beast, and upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn, and shall not be quenched. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. Put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices, and eat flesh. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people, and walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. 24. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, but walked in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward. Since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Egypt until this day, I have even sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, daily rising up early and sending them. Yet they hearken not unto me, nor incline their ear, but hearken their neck, but hardened their neck. Sorry, they did worse than their fathers. Therefore they shall speak all these words unto them, but they will not hearken to thee. Thou shalt also call unto them, but they will not answer thee. But thou shalt say unto them, this is the nation that obeyeth not the voice of the Lord their God, nor receiveth correction. Truth is perished, and is cut off from their mouth. Cut off thine hair, O Jerusalem, and cast it away, and take up a lamentation on high places. For the Lord hath rejected and forsaken the generations of his wrath. For the children of Judah have done evil in my sight, saith the Lord. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name, to pollute it. 31. And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my heart. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter, for they shall burn in Tophet, till there be no place. And the carcasses of this people shall be meat for the fowls of the heaven and for the beasts of the earth, and none shall fray them away. 34. Then will I cause to cease from the cities of Judah and from the streets of Jerusalem the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, for the land shall be desolate. That was Jeremiah chapter 7.
Okay. Got any comments on that?
Yes, sir. And then I also have a question also. So this is concerning in the very first part of chapter 7, talking about the oppressed, the widow, and the orphan, right? And the poor, which was always a particular concern of the Lord of hosts.
Right.
Right. And then also focus on rising up early. We see that a lot throughout the scriptures, especially in Psalm. And I just wanted to get a good understanding of that when it says rise up early in the morning. Was that to, what do you call, get direction and guidance for the day from the Lord of hosts?
Well, I talked about this a couple of times in a couple of different videos.
Mm-hmm.
The angels are up. I told you they operating in the before day, like I think they call it the 6th hour or 3rd hour. So if you go back to the angel that rise up with Jacob, right? Wasn't that before daybreak?
Yes, sir.
Then when with the fleece, I think it was I can't remember who it was that he had the fleece, and he told him, if this is from God, then put dew all over the ground, and don't put no dew on the fleece. And so he came that morning before day, and it was dew all over the ground, but none on the fleece. Then he said, when I come back tomorrow, be dew on the fleece and none on the ground. So we know when dew is distributed before day, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
These angels, they operate before day. So these angels are messengers, bringing messages back and forth from heaven to the prophet. So the prophet got to be up early in the morning to receive the message. So that's why he's saying, I'm up early in the morning to get him the message. They up early in the morning to get to the prophet. But you rejected it.
Okay. Yes,
that's
sir.
how they operate. You see, most instances, they deal with these angels in the morning before daybreak.
Right. Yes, sir.
Moving around. Right.
Right. And I was saying, I've read that a lot throughout Psalms, right? And I was just thinking of, let me find it. Psalms 143, a prayer for guidance and deliverance.
Right.
And verse 8, cause me to hear thy loving kindness in the morning. For in thee do I trust. Cause me to know the way wherein I should walk. For I lift up my soul unto thee.
Right.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's when they're moving around before daybreak. The angel told Jacob, let me go. Daybreak is coming. Let me go before daybreak. That's how they operate. That's the order of things. Okay.
Okay. And can you explain verse 18, Brother Leonard, where it says, make cakes to the Queen of Heaven? Is that talking about what they said, who they said was Yahweh's wife? What's her name?
Asherah.
Right.
So this when you look at what he's saying in 7, he brought Israelites. No, chapter 7. So he brought Israel. The angel of the Lord went to Egypt, brought them to where he dwelled in, right? And when you understand the geographical setup of this land is mountains all over. You got Mount Hermon there, Mount Tabor, Mount Horeb, all these. He's on Mount Zion. So we know these angels dwell on these mountains, right? Hermon is where the 200 angels came in at.
Okay.
Okay, and around that is where all these giants at, the Canaanites. It's in that same region. So he go get them, bring them to where he dwell at. They going up in these high places. That's what a high place is. They going up to where they at, worshiping them in his land. And he telling them, I'm watching you. I'm looking at what you're doing. Like he told Ezekiel, dig down under the temple and dig in the hole and look in there and look what they're doing at the bottom of in the basement of the temple. They're worshiping other gods and worshiping these fowls of the air and all this stuff, stars in heaven. But back to the cakes. When the 3 angels came to Abraham, what he told Sarah to do?
Go make cakes.
Make cakes. That's what I'm saying. So now he didn't win and deliver them. They making cakes for these fallen angels. In his lane. See that? So anyway, 34 was stuck out to me. The last verse is that, then will I cause to cease from the cities of Judah and from the streets of Jerusalem the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, for the land shall be desolate. So this right here, like I said, it's stuff like this right here that it's in simple, show you how they hook with scripture. So this Jeremiah, he was the prophet that used to warn Israel that Nebuchadnezzar was coming, and he's going to take them into the good feed. He's going to destroy the wicked feed and take the good feed to Babylon for 70 years. So this is where they left it right here. This is where it was prophesied. 34. Then will I cause to cease from the cities of Judah and from the streets of Jerusalem the voice of mirth, the voice of gladness, and the voice of the bridegroom, the voice of the bride, and the land shall be desolate. So this is during the time of Jeremiah. So let's look at this. Let's go to Daniel, right? So Daniel in Babylon. So this is what Nebuchadnezzar did in verse 34. He stopped the street. People all over the land of Israel, all in the streets. He caused all that to cease. And the bride stopped, marriages stopped, all that. So let's look at it. Daniel 9:25, right? Check this out. This is a joke. So now we see this is a prophecy that coming to pass. He ran them off. He used Nebuchadnezzar to run them off in Jeremiah 7:24. 25. Now remember what is just a Christian prophecy about Jesus Christ. Know, therefore, and understand that from the going forth of this commandment to restore what? Jeremiah 7:34. Where he came and he caused to cease in the streets, in the cities of Judah, and from the streets of Jerusalem, the voice of mirth and all that. He caused all that to stop. Right here, he's getting restored. So how in the hell has it got anything to do with Jesus? So anyway, it says, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore what Nebuchadnezzar done, and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah. See that? The prince. So we see right here this Messiah prince. He can't be Jesus because of what the prophecy is pertaining to what was done by Nebuchadnezzar. All that stuff that already happened. Ain't no New Testament. We only in the book of Daniel. So ain't got nothing to do with no New Testament. All the Lord was doing is fulfilling the prophecy that he had said over there with Jeremiah. They was going to tear the city down and all that, and for 70 years they was going to go to Babylon. And then in Daniel, he using Daniel, just like he used Jeremiah to prophesy them leaving and the destruction. He using Daniel to prophesy them coming back. Had nothing to do with no man down on a cross. Okay, you see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. That's plain. That's plain. You can't get no plainer than that. Okay. They Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the streets and everything, and Cyrus sent them back, and Nehemiah and them rebuilt the streets and the wall and all. That's all it's telling you. Okay. Anybody else got anything in chapter 7?
Uh, yes, sir. Um, as I look down at the very end of 34, in the little notes that they have here, they have Hosea 2:11, and when I went to Hosea 2:11, it kind of confused me a little. It says, um, "I will also cause all her myrrh to cease, her fast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts." And then um, I wonder why would they put that right there under the verse
That's
at the very end of it.
right. When you understand what's going on, you got the nation of Judah, and which is the southern kingdom, and you got the northern kingdom, the 10 tribes, where they got Levites and priests in both kingdoms. So Hosea is prophesying in the northern kingdom, and Jeremiah prophesying in the southern kingdom. It's just like you got two kings. The nation of Israel been divided. You got a king that's ruling on the throne of David in the southern kingdom. Then you got a king on the throne in the northern kingdom, out of Ephraim's lineage. So it's two kings ruling at the same time. So that's
Okay,
what
thank
you're
you.
looking at. Hosea is prophesying to the northern kingdoms that what's gonna happen to them, and Jeremiah prophesying to the southern kingdom. And that's why I was saying on several occasions where when you understand this lie about the 10 lost tribes, so we know that both of them ended up in Babylon. Both of them ended up under Cyrus. When Cyrus came, Cyrus conquered Nebuchadnezzar. He had the southern kingdom, and he also conquered the Syrians. So he got all 12 tribes in him. So when he came out in Ezra chapter 1 and said, "The Lord God of heaven has told me to return y'all back to your homeland and rebuild your temple," he talking to all the Israelites. He ain't just talking to the southern kingdom. But we know that some of them came back from the northern kingdom, but a lot of them didn't go back. They said they wanted to go to another land where they can keep the laws, because they couldn't keep them in the land. We ended up with people over in West Africa. So when Antioch Epiphanes came and started running Israelites out of the land of Jerusalem, the prophecy of Daniel, the abomination of making desolate, came to pass. They already knew where some of their people was at. So they fled into Africa to where those other people was at on the West Coast. So when they finally came, everybody knew this back in the day. They knew this, that where the Israelites is at, and they came and got us, brought us here. They knew where we was at. They knew where we were, and they knew where we was at. So all this, like I said, it's lies upon lies. You know, you have to start somewhere and start connecting the dots and building the foundation. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So okay, yeah. So it's always, and then even if you notice in the New Testament, it said that the apostles, right? They sent them out 2 by 2. You know, where they get that from? Over here. But we see it's two different prophets, two different people going, one in the southern kingdom, one in the northern kingdom. That's like when they came back from Babylon, we know that Haggai and Zechariah, they was prophesying. While they was rebuilding the temple, you had two prophets prophesying in the land of Israel. And not only that, singing hymns. The whole time they was rebuilding the temple, they had priests and Levites singing hymns and prophesying. So that's where all this coming from. They just looked at what they seen was in our records, and they took it. That's how the New Testament was formulated. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody got anything else? Chapter 7. Yeah. So I'll read chapter 8, one more chapter. It says, Jeremiah mourns the desperate state of the Jews. It says, at that time, said the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah, and the bones of the princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves, and they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and all the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved and whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered, nor be buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. Do that ring a bell for anybody? That was that verse, those two verses. They don't trigger anything. So Joseph was in Egypt, right? He told them the Lord came to him, just like we read last night. He came to Jacob and told him. Jacob told Joseph when he came to him right before he died. He said, "I wasn't thinking to see you again, but the Lord already showed me your two sons. You already seen them in a vision. I ain't already showed it to him." And then you go back to the testaments of the patriarchs that's in the pseudepigrapha. He had showed Jacob everything will happen to each one of them boys, and he prophesied and told them before he passed. So it's the same thing right here. When you read this, it says, anyway, Joseph said, when you leave Egypt, take my bones with you, right? Because he knew about Ezekiel 37. He knew that in the latter days, they was going to be regathered. Their spirit was going, their body was going to be regenerated, and spirit was going to come back in them, because they the ones that's going to judge the earth in the latter days. So they already knew that was going to happen. That's for the righteous ones. Like it says, that great angel, like we talked about last night in Daniel chapter 12, when he stand up, is when all of them going to get resurrected. Right? So it says right here, like I said, Psalm in Daniel 12, let me read it. Daniel 12 says, okay, look at it, because this is big, it's important. So it says, Daniel chapter 12, okay, Daniel 12:1, at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, who standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even at the same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, right? Everyone that shall be found written in the book. This is Ezekiel 37. So how we know that? Verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth, right? These are dry bones, shall awake. Now here you go, the point I'm making. Some the everlasting life, and some the everlasting shame and contempt. So the righteous ones, the everlasting life, and the unrighteous one, the shame and contempt. So go back over here to chapter 8. It says, at that time, says the Lord, they shall bring out the bones, see that, of the kings of Judah, and the bones of the princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem. These are the wicked ones. So he cutting them off right here. They ain't be no resurrection. So he says, and at that time, says the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah, the bones of the princes, the bones of the priests, the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of the Jerusalem out of their graves. So they being cut off right here. But look what they was doing too. and they shall spread them before the sun and the moon. That's what these people worship, Egyptians and all them, and all the hosts of heaven whom they have loved. So all these people right here, these priests and prophets and kings that believe Judah loved, they worship these the sun and the moon and all these gods. So he causing them to bring their bones out and spread them out in there. That way they can't be resurrected. I mean, at the time, Ezekiel 37. So anyway, he says, 2, they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and all the hosts of heaven whom they have loved. They ain't love him. And whom they have served. And after whom they have walked. And in whom they have sought. And in whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered. See that? They ain't going to be resurrected. Nor be buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. That's the very opposite of what Joseph told them. Lay my bones and then plant them. When you get to the land of Canaan, plant them in the ground, because the Lord of hosts going to do his thing later on. Okay? So anyway, that's what Nehemiah is praying about. Let's go there right quick. For Nehemiah, right? And that's what Nehemiah is concerned about. He's righteous. Nehemiah is righteous. They all, the righteous, everybody understood it, but the righteous definitely understood it. So Nehemiah says, okay, yeah, Nehemiah. So he says, chapter 2. It came to chapter 2 of Nehemiah, verse 1. It came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, king, that he was before him, and I took up a wine, and I gave it unto the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, why is thy countenance, why is thy countenance sad, seeing thou art not sick? This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then was I very so afraid, and said unto the king, let the king live forever. Now here you go. I'm going to explain to you why he's sad. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city, Jerusalem, the place of my father's sepulchres, graves, where they buried it, they was maintaining those graves because of Ezekiel 37, what they understood. Says, the place of my father's sepulchres lie waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire. Then the king said unto me, for what doest thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said unto the king, if it please the king, check it out, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou would have sent me unto Judah, unto the city of my father's sepulchres, that I may build it. So that was his whole concern. Rebuilding Jerusalem and maintaining them graves, them sepulchres, for the righteous that was going to get resurrected. And we see over here in Jeremiah, these wicked ones was thrown out like dung on the earth. They bones. Okay, so anyway, he says, Jeremiah 8:4, moreover, thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord, shall they fall and not arise? Talking about the same thing right there. Shall he turn away and not return? Why then is the people of Jerusalem slidden back by the perpetual backsliding? They had fasted, they hold fast deceit. They refused to return. I hearkened and heard, but they spake not aright. No man repented him of his wickedness, saying, what have I done? Everyone turned to his course, as the horse rusheth into the battle. Yea, the stork in the heavens knoweth the appointed times, and the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the times of their coming, but my people know not the judgment of the Lord. How do ye say we are wise, and the law of the Lord is with us? Lo, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribe is in vain. The wise men are ashamed. They are dismayed and taken low. They have rejected the word of the Lord, and what wisdom is in them. Therefore will I give their wives unto others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them. For from the least even unto the greatest is given unto covetousness, for the prophet, even unto the priest, everyone defileth, dealeth falsely. For they have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, Peace, peace, when there is no peace. Were they ashamed when they had committed abominations? Nay, they were not at all ashamed. Neither could they blush, therefore shall they fall among them that fall in the time of their visitation. They shall be cast down, saith the Lord, and I will surely consume them, saith the Lord. There shall be no grapes on the vine, nor figs on the fig tree, and the leaf shall fade, and the things that I have given them shall pass away from them. Why do we sit still? Assemble yourselves, and let us enter into the defense cities, and let us be silent there. For the Lord our God hath put us to silence, and given us water for gall to drink, because we have sinned against the Lord. So there goes JC right here. Like I said, JC was formed from reading our scriptures. So verse 14 says, why do we sit still? Assemble yourselves, and let us enter into the defense city. Remember, Israel is the son. The nation of Israel is the son. And let us be silent there, for the Lord our God hath put us to silence. Now here you go, giving us water of gall to drink. So that's just on the cross. When he gave when he wanted water, but the Roman soldier gave him vinegar, put it in his mouth. That's where it's coming from right here. Giving us water. So the son is Israel. So giving us water, gall to drink. The nation of Israel, the son, gave them gall to drink because we have sinned against the Lord. But they tell you on the cross, the son on the cross, he ain't did nothing, but they gave him gall, vinegar. Okay. Anyway, the snorting of his horses were heard from Dan. The whole land trembled at the sound of the nine of his strong ones, for they are come and have devoured the land and all that is in it, the city, and those that dwell therein. For behold, I will send serpents, cockatrices among you, which will not be charmed, and they will bite you, said the Lord. When I would have comforted myself against sorrow, my heart is faint in me. Behold, the voice of the cry of the daughter of my people, because of them that dwell in the far country. Is not the Lord in Zion? Is not her king in her? Why have they provoked me to anger with their graven images and with their strange vanities? The harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. For the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt. I am black. Astonishment have taken hold of me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered? So that was Jeremiah chapter 8. Any comments on that? We're going to stop right there. That way I know to pick up in next week on chapter 9. Any comments? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're going to cut it off right there. And we got the women's line tomorrow for women's advanced Bible study. It's from 8 to 10 Central Time. So I'll see everybody then. Okay.
Okay.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.